lovingly call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with the mission to nurture our spirit, to strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, all are welcome here. Welcome to all that are joining us remotely. For any visitors who are here for the first time, and if you are comfortable doing so, would you please stand and tell us your name and where you are from so we can get to know you better? Are there any visitors on my right? On my left? Cool. That's okay. We have several adult enrichment offerings during second hour. They are listed in your order of worship, along with your youth RE schedule and some upcoming UUMAN events. Next Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the UUMAN Volunteer Day at North Fulton Community Charities. Please contact Mike Chambers or simply show up to North Fulton Community Charities next Saturday at 10 a.m. to participate. Please join us during second hour for a town hall meeting today with Southern Poverty Law Center on defending democracy beyond voting. Speakers include a representative for the SPLC and our very own Jennifer Philippi and Troy Vanderbeek. For security reasons, you must register for the event. Please find a QR code in the back of the chair in front of you and register now. That's in all capital letters. Light refreshments are available after the event. Now we have an announcement by the Harvest Moon team.
Auction and
yes?
It looks like it's got something on the bottom of it too.
It says, "Save our democracy, save our planet. I will vote 11/5/24."
so if any of you have items, have services.
Yes, Tanya? One of these mugs? This is your lucky day, Tanya Romine. Guess what? This is one of the fabulous drawings. Today, you could win a mug like this mug, if you have submitted a donation to the auction. Have you submitted yours yet? I haven't either, but I will. But guess what? It's not too late because we're not going to draw until right before second hour. We have a QR code. You can still donate, and you can win this mug.
So make sure that you all donate your dinners, your vacation homes, your homemade pottery, your homemade jewelry.
All the things.
All the things for the auction.
Thank you.
And now let us greet one another in the hand or elbow of friendship.
Good morning. Each day provides us with an opportunity to love again, to hurt again, to embrace joy, to experience unease, to discover the tragic. Each day provides us with an opportunity to live. Each day is no different, this hour no more unique than the last. Except maybe today, maybe now, among friends and fellow journeyers, maybe for the first time, maybe silently, we can share ourselves. And now let us light our chalice together.
May the flame of this chalice, the symbol of our faith, connect us to all who have come before us, all who are with us in body and spirit, all who are yet to come into being. May it serve as a reminder of our unity and connection across all time and space. Now please open your hardback hymnal to number 361 to enter, rejoice, and come in.
Grandpa Rollins story time. Any kids we've got? Come on up here. Very good. And if you have any of your fuzzy friends, you can bring those as well. I brought mine. Oh, uh-oh. Ah, oh, no. Anyhow, my friends are not helping me with the story today, but I brought them along simply because they love being at UUMAN on a Sunday morning. Oh, I love being here with all the kiddies. You know, you can play with that, yeah. And then we've got Curious George. Y'all have met him before. One of my favorites. Any of y'all read Curious George stories? Ah, everybody. Okay, yeah. Woohoo, love the kiddies. Okay. All right, there we go. And then Knee Deep. Do you like being here? Knee deep. Would you like to explain that? Knee deep. Okay. Yeah, don't play with that one. And then finally, I've got one new thing that relates to the country of India. Because Reverend Dave is going to be talking to the grown-ups about India and our partner church over there. So I wanted to say a little something about that. Now, here's the world, okay? And whoop, whoop, here's us, right here. And India is all the way around. Whoa, where'd it go? Over here, yeah. We're here, it's here. It's like 8,000 miles, so that means if you rode in a car all day long, and there were a road, which there isn't because there's an ocean, it would take you about as many days as you've got fingers and toes to get there. I mean, it is a long way off, okay? Now, here is a really cool thing about India and a lot of other places in the world, okay? For us, down is that way, and up is that way. And we walk like this, right? Well, down is actually toward the middle of the world. I think that's really cool. So when we're walking around like this, people in India, where'd you go, are walking around like this. This is true. This is what you learn in school. This is science. It is such neat stuff. And you've got, and the people in India right now, their feet are pointed that way, unless they're in bed, okay? And their heads are pointed that way, and if they drop something, it goes that way. Really? I mean, isn't that the coolest thing? I think it's just wonderful. What an amazing world. Yeah, wow. Anyhow, if you could hold that. Okay. Today's story is a folk tale of India, traditional tale, called The Brahmin, the Tiger, and the Jackal. Okay, now you probably know what a tiger is, okay? But now a Brahmin, what's that? The who on the globe? Oh, that's the white spot, other side. That's the Antarctic there. And then if you turn it all the way around, the Arctic's up there. There you go. Okay. Now, you probably know what a tiger is. Okay. A Brahmin is someone in India who's very educated, read lots of books, knows lots of stuff. And a jackal is a wild animal that's kind of like a dog. Okay. So the story goes that the Brahmin is walking along and walking down the road, and he comes across this big cage that has a tiger in it. Okay. And the tiger says, "Oh, Mr. Brahmin, would you please let me out of the cage? We'd like to run around in the jungle, and we don't like being locked up." And the Brahmin says, "Well, if I let you out of the cage, you're going to eat me, because tigers eat people." He said, No, I promise not to eat you." "Okay, well, then I'll let you out." Lets him out. And the tiger says, "Now I'm going to eat you up." "Wait, you said you weren't going to eat me up." But you see, people are very mean to animals. You shoot tigers with your big rifles from the top of elephants and all that. And so I tricked you. And the Brahmin says, "Well, now wait a minute. If you tricked me, it means you told a lie. And it means you have bad karma, and you're going to be reborn as a worm. Now, you don't want that, do you?" No, okay. The tiger's thinking and said, I kind of don't know what to do. So the Brahmin and the tiger work out a deal where they're going to walk down the road. They're going to ask the first three creatures they see, "Well, you cut us down, you burn us for wood, you make us into boards, you hammer nails into us," all that kind of stuff. Well, that didn't go so well, thanks to Brahmin. So they walk down there a little more, and then they come across a water buffalo. They say, "Well, water buffalo, all right, should the tiger eat the Brahmin?" And the water buffaloes, "Well, of course. I mean, look how mean they are to water buffaloes. You know, they make us work all day. You know, we don't even get minimum wage." Well, that's another story. But anyhow, the humans are like mean to animals. So go ahead, eat him up, you know. So then the Brahmin says, "This is really not going well. I've got one to go," okay? So they go down a little further, and they come across the jackal. Now, a jackal is kind of like a dog, and dogs and people really get along real well. And the jackal is actually very clever. So they say, should the tiger eat the Brahmin? And the jackal says, "Well, now tell me why." "Well, I was locked in a cage." "Well, now tell me about this cage thing. What do you mean by a cage?" And the tiger, who's not very smart, says, "Well, let me show you." So they go back to where the cage is. They had me locked up in the cage, okay? And then the jackal says, "Now, what do you mean by locked up? I don't really get that." And the tiger says, "Well, let me show you," okay? So the tiger goes in the cage, pulls the door shut, they shut the latch. Now I'm locked in the cage. And the jackal says, turns to the Brahmin and says, "I think we should probably leave the tiger in the cage for now, but maybe we need to think about how we treat animals and plants so they aren't so mad at us." Okay? And that is the story of the Brahmin, the tiger, and the jackal. All right.
Now is the time in the service when the love that binds us together is spoken aloud. Give me 2 seconds. Wow, this is messed up. I totally have this in order. I'm so sorry. Dag. Within the loving community of this congregation, we take the time to share with one another our joys and sorrows. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble in the bowl, express a joy or sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via our live stream, please put a joy or sorrow in the chat.
Good morning, I'm Tanya, and I'm a member of this congregation. I have this bad habit, and that is weather phenomena just really takes all my attention. And so I have been paying so much attention to what's just happened this weekend. And I got a hold of a girlfriend of mine that lives in Asheville. She texted me this morning because I've been waiting to hear back from her. I talked to her before the storm. And she's just like, it is completely apocalyptic. She said she even had a tornado go through her neighborhood, so trees are down everywhere. I don't know if anybody has watched videos of everything. I have a friend that lives in Tennessee, and he was watching local news there in eastern North Carolina, and it's just completely apocalyptic. And then this morning I even saw St. Petersburg, and from the storm surge, there are cars that are stuck in sand up to almost their rooftops. So it's just like, the devastation that everyone is dealing with is beyond compare. And so everyone keep them in your hearts and mind, and I guess we should all donate as much as we can to the Red Cross and those that are trying to help them. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Philippi, a member of this congregation. It is with both a lot of joy and a heavy heart that I have found my foster Chapo a home, and they will be picking him up today. I had promised myself if this family didn't work out, I was going to keep Chapo, and I was a little bit hopeful about that. But this is going to be a great home for him, and I know he will be loved.
Hi, my name is Martina Austin, and I'm a visitor to this congregation. I have a joy to share. My son lives just south of Asheville, and I'm happy to report, although his neighborhood was devastated, he came through the storm fine, and he and a friend actually are on their way to stay with me for the next few days because they haven't had power for a couple days, and things really, as you described, are unlivable at the moment.
From the chat, Sarah Hunter has a sorrow for all those affected by the hurricane, and a joy. It is Sarah Hunter's her son's 47th birthday this week. And Steve Allerton also says, thankful to those who have evaded the hurricane, and sorrowful for all those who weren't as fortunate. And I'll drop in one last pebble for all those joys and sorrows too tender to escape the folds of our heart.
on September 18th, 1887, the first Unitarian worship service was held in the Khasi Hills of India. There were 4 people present. 4 people. But with love and care and a lot of hard work, elbow grease and grit, there are now 10,000 Unitarians living in the Khasi Hills of India and over 30 Unitarian churches. We are partnered with one of the churches in a town called Mawsynjri, India, in the state of Meghalaya. Meghalaya is the abode of the clouds. Now, I don't know if you know you still have that globes around here? So if you look at India, if India looks something like that, there's actually a portion, a peninsula, I'll point it out in a second, a peninsula, a part of India that I didn't even really know about, that actually extends far eastward, and it's surrounded by Bhutan, China, Tibet, a few other countries. So it's actually, here's India, but Meghalaya is way over here in the eastern part of India. Thank you. So Meghalaya, it's known as really the wettest place on the planet. They have over 470 inches of rain a year. And one day in 2020, I think it was, they had 24-hour period, 40 inches of rain. It's actually culturally closer to Southeast Asia than actually India itself. Only 11% of the people in this part of India, that eastern peninsula in Meghalaya, there's 7 other states, Indian states there. Meghalaya is where the Khasi Hills are. But actually only 11% of the people there are Hindu. 75% are actually Christian. Our partner church is in the town, very small town of Meghalaya. There's probably or Mawsynjri. There's probably only a few hundred people living in Mawsynjri. And here's a picture of our partner church that Paula Watson gave to us. So it's a beautiful little church. This picture was taken probably before the bell tower was constructed. Yes. Anyway, so in the town of Mawsynjri, there are actually 3 institutions to which we are partnered. We and 2 other Unitarian Universalist congregations are partnered. There's the church itself, which is really officially we're the partner. There's an orphanage called the Children's Village, a boys' and a girls' orphanage, which is partnered with the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. And then there's a school in the town, maybe a separate town actually, but close by, that's partnered with the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. But then that's just one church, and one town, 3 institutions, and 3 different churches are partnered with it. In the past decade, several UUMAN members have made the trip to Mawsynjri to visit our partner church. In 2014, Paula and Rick went over as part of a larger choir group, and they sang at many of the churches in the Khasi Hills. And 2014 is when they took this picture, I'm imagining. And this picture of some of the children over here. So these children are probably in their late teens, almost 20 by now. So then in 2015, Mike and Michelle Lieber-Gazelle went over to the Khasi Hills, stayed with some families there, and visited our partner church. In 2016, they came over here and visited us, and they gave me this stool. It's just after I was ordained, actually before I was ordained, actually. They gave me this stool at a service we did in Fellowship Hall over here. In 2019, they did some kind of sewing project, I believe, some kind of service project that they did over there. And in in February of 2018, Mike and Michelle went again, and I went for the first time to visit the church and to dedicate a bell tower that we kind of helped them build. So this dedication of the bell tower happened on an early Sunday morning, and there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and here's a piece of the ribbon that I saved from 2018. As we had this service, it opened with some children singing this beautiful song, and then some female teenagers did a pretty sassy dance. And then we cut the ribbon, and with Nangroy Suting, who's a Unitarian minister in the Khasi Hills, acting as a translator, I said, "In this beautiful bell tower, the ringing of this bell, may it come to ring in all our hearts, that your joys are our joys, that your sorrows are our sorrows, and that we share in the spirit of life together." Then we had a church service where I gave a sermon. It was translated, and there was another minister there who, from Massachusetts, who was instrumental in the startup of the Children's Village. She did a sermon as well. It ended up being a long service, and after that, I was pretty tired, as I usually am after even doing these services. I like to go home and take a nap. But on that day, there was no nap, because there was a middle afternoon service. I didn't have to give a sermon, but we went to the service. Great. After that service, I'm tired. But no, there is an evening service. So we had an evening service in February. It was kind of chilly in there, but not too chilly. But I won't forget that service. I remember a dog coming in right up the front aisle and sitting on a mat right in front of the pulpit while the preachers were preaching and talking and doing everything. And a dog just loved just sitting there sleeping. And the power went out about 4 or 5 times during the service, but they didn't miss a beat. They all have candles, and they just whip them out, and they continue on as normal. It was a beautiful, beautiful day that I won't ever forget. Won't ever forget. Now, you might be wondering, how did Unitarianism even come to the Khasi Hills of India? As I said, on September 18th, 1887, the first Unitarian service was held. It was held in the living room of a 22-year-old man named Hajom Kissor Singh. He was there, and 3 other people. Hajom Kissor Singh was predisposed to religion and spirituality, but due to the confluence of events and history, it led him to the development of his own faith. He developed this on his own, which just happened to be, he found out later, Unitarian. In the late 19th century, there were Christian missionaries in Meghalaya. They were Calvinist missionaries, and they preached a Calvinist doctrine of the innate depravity of human nature, predestination, hellfire and damnation, and the love of Jesus. And they converted this young Hajom Kissor Singh. But when he began to read the Bible, the New Testament, he was very inspired by what he read there, the ministry of Jesus in the New Testament. And he became suspicious of the Calvinist theology that he was being taught when the Calvinist missionaries said that any other versions of Christianity, any other Christians who didn't subscribe to their particular flavor of Christianity were doomed to eternal hellfire and damnation. That didn't sit well with him. For him, wasn't the God that they're worshiping the same God as other Christians? Isn't the Jesus that they revere the same Jesus as put forth in the New Testament? So he began to turn away from this Calvinist theology and began to kind of develop his own based upon what he reasonably could ascertain from the New Testament. Annie Margaret Barr, who was a Unitarian minister, but she ran an orphanage in Meghalaya, had never met him, but she wrote of him. Here's what she said. Hajom Kissor Singh felt and declared that the message of election, damnation, and salvation by going to a certain church and profession of a certain creed was incompatible with the teachings of Jesus, as he read for himself in the Gospels. He tried to persuade his fellow Christians that the essence of Christianity was to be found in Christ's way of life, in the scale of values, and not in any scheme of salvation by blood or faith. So interestingly and coincidentally, Hajom Kissor Singh developed this theology that, unknowing to him, pretty much matched what Unitarians were doing in North America at the same time, maybe a little bit earlier, and who, for the very same reasons, split from their Calvinist faith to develop their own Unitarian faith in the early 19th century. Yet Hajom Kissor Singh had never even heard of Unitarians or Unitarianism. He was talking religion with a theologian who was more maybe learned about world religions. And when Hajom Kissor Singh told him what he believed, he said, this other theologian said, "You're a Unitarian." So Hajom Kissor Singh then started to read about Unitarianism. He started reading the sermons of William Ellery Channing, Theodore Parker, Ralph Waldo Emerson, all Unitarian ministers, and it resonated with him. And it was essentially the same thing that he believed. And he began organizing churches in the Khasi Hills. He was not a minister, but he single-handedly leveraged his many skills of organization, accounting, all kinds of things, and to build Unitarianism in the Khasi Hills as to what it is today. Again, 10,000 members and 30 churches. In 1896, Unitarian minister Jabez Sunderland from the United States went over the Khasi Hills to meet him and to see kind of what was going on. Here's what he had to say. "I have never been more impressed with any religious movement than this in the Khasi Hills. Everywhere I saw evidences, sincerity, consecration, and warm attachment to the religious faith which people had felt and had done so much for them. The whole movement is unique in the fact that it has sprung from the soil." There are about 20 North American congregations that are partnered with congregations in the Khasi Hills. And on March 17th through 25th, members of those congregations, including us, are invited to a pilgrimage to visit the churches and our particular partner church, March 17th through 25th. Most people also, when they're over there, add on another trip. They go to the holy city of Varanasi on the Ganges River, or they go to the city of Sarnath, where the Buddha gave his first sermon, or the city of Dharamsala, where the Dalai Lama lives, or other add-on trips. Again, we're invited. We live in an age of globalization, and that has no doubt come with many problems, or developed many problems with globalization. Yet at the same time, it does offer us opportunities to transcend fear and misunderstanding of people who are not just like us. It gives us the opportunity to make relationships beyond our immediate community. I won't ever forget my trip to the Khasi Hills. It was different than traveling or vacationing. It's not a vacation. You are immersed in their culture, invited into their homes. You're welcome into their lives and into their churches. It's different than just traveling. We in North America and they in the Khasi Hills began calling ourselves Unitarian in the 19th century. And since that time, maybe our theologies have changed. They've developed over time. Yet we have shared roots with their heritage. We have a shared commitment to justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And when you get right down to it, isn't our theology less about what we believe and more about what we actually do in the world? For me, traveling to the Khasi Hills reminded me, and it still reminds me, that we have more in common than what our obvious cultural differences may indicate. And it gives me hope. It does give me hope to imagine the possibilities of what we can do together to create a better world.
To fulfill and further the mission and vision of this congregation, we ask that our members and friends share of their time, treasures, and talents. With this, we will now take the offering. You may also use the Give Now option in the Breeze app. This month's 50/50 recipient is the SAM Foundation. Any checks or Breeze donations specifically designated as 50/50 during the month of September will go to support their work. We accept this sacred offering
generously given by our beloved members and friends. May we use it wisely and judiciously in service to our mission.
Your softback hymnal, number 1058. We will sing Be Ours, Our Religion. Alex will play through once, and we will all join together. And now let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
In celebration of Unitarian Day, which is the anniversary of the first Unitarian service held in the Khasi Hills, Mirzad Mahesh of the Mawsynjri Church writes, "On this Unitarian Day, we bow our hearts in gratitude for the gift of life, for the beauty of creation that surrounds us, and for the bonds that connect us as one human family. May we walk in the light of compassion, kindness, and understanding, seeking always to uplift and support one another. Let our hands be instruments of peace, our words be gentle and true, and our hearts open to the wide needs of the world. As we move through the days ahead, may we find strength for our shared purpose, courage to stand for justice, and grace to forgive. Let this be a time of healing for those in pain, comfort for those in sorrow, and hope for those who are lost. Guide us, O Spirit of unity, to honor the sacredness in all people, to work together to build a world where love, peace, and harmony flourish in every heart and in every land." And I will close with the words of 19th century Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, who writes, "May ours be a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its rituals works of love, and its profession of faith divine living." May it be so. Go in peace and enjoy your week.